Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Gervier Denza. Thank you for joining us here on Atlanta News First Plus at 10 o'clock. This is Catch Up Quick, some of the stories that are making headlines that you need to be aware of today. And, of course, one of the big stories across the country and here at home continues to be the issue of immigration. So let me just talk a little bit more about that. This morning, there is a fifth day of protests taking place out in California involving the Trump administration's immigration policies. We can show you what's been happening out there. You can see cars have been set on fire. Protesters have been clashing with police. And the growing war of words between California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom and President Donald Trump continues. The Pentagon says it does plan to send 700 Marines and thousands of additional National Guard troops to L.A., prompting these demonstrators in other cities and states to take to the streets, too. California's Attorney General says he is going to sue the Trump administration for deploying National Guard members to L.A. He says that this is unlawful. And, of course, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass has also spoken out vehemently against this plan. Now, we can tell you what's happening here at home as well. Here in Georgia, dozens of people gathered to protest outside ICE headquarters in Atlanta. Atlanta News First Sarah Hammond reports from the ICE field office in downtown Atlanta as more protests are planned for today.
The protest here yesterday remained peaceful, no arrests reported, and organizers say they plan to rally again this afternoon along Buford Highway. The protesters here condemning the recent arrests of undocumented immigrants across metro Atlanta and nationwide, and we've seen ICE operations take place here. 12 were arrested at a Marietta nail salon last week, and Cherokee County Democrats are condemning a raid they say happened in the Sunnyside neighborhood on Saturday. And looking back to earlier this year, Governor Brian Kemp requested ICE train all 1,100 state troopers to better assist ICE's operations. Protesters say they do not agree with President Trump's immigration agenda, but ICE and Homeland Security agents in Atlanta say they are following orders and the law.
The only way we're going to get change, the only way we're going to get answers, the only way we're going to see a difference is to unite as one.
It is our mandate to enforce the immigration laws as they fit on the books.
That rally today is happening at 6:30 p.m. in Brookhaven along Buford Highway. At the ICE field offices in Atlanta, Sarah Hammond for Atlanta News First.
One of the other big stories we're watching today, high-profile job openings at the Atlanta-based CDC. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has fired a panel of advisors that guide the federal government's vaccine recommendations. Atlanta News First Blake Devine reports from CDC headquarters on where there's going to be a rally taking place later today.
This is an unprecedented move, which is why former CDC employees and local leaders will gather here a little later today as they are sounding the alarm on what they're calling a political attack on public health. Monday, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. fired his entire 17-member vaccine advisory panel, announcing this unprecedented move in an op-ed article published within the Wall Street Journal. RFK Jr. said the panel, which recommends vaccines for diseases such as COVID-19, the flu, and HPV, is, quote, plagued with conflicts of interest, and this sweeping decision is leaving many medical leaders in shock.
This entire process is being injected with ideology in a way that will compromise trust in public health.
The Vaccine Advisory Panel was scheduled to vote later this month on recommendations for vaccines against COVID-19 and other infectious diseases. Today's rally will take place at 2 o'clock as they will also be speaking up against proposed budget cuts for the CDC. Reporting in DeKalb County, Blake Devine, Atlanta News First.
And, of course, Atlanta News First Plus, along with our afternoon newscasts on Atlanta News First, will be following this story for you as those protests take place. All right, let's wrap it up with Mercedez Benz Stadium, which is getting ready for the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. Atlanta News First Sports Director Bailey Burmaster takes a look at all the preparations are happening not only at the stadium, but around the city.
The last time Atlanta and Mercedez Benz Stadium hosted an international soccer tournament, it wasn't too great. That's when Copa was in town in 2024. In fact, Argentina players were vocal about how bouncy the playing surface was. However, this is a different federation with a different flow of operations. The process of putting in the grass started with the turf being taken up on Wednesday, leaving the asphalt base. An aluminum subfloor slightly thicker than a baking sheet was put down instead of the plastic subfloor that was used during Copa America. The grass is specific for domed stadiums and was bred to handle regional climate, the wear and tear of play, and a lifetime of around 60 days.
The first time we've had anything this extensive in the building. First time we've ever brought in a root zone. So when I say root zone, I mean we've got 3 inches of sand beneath the grass this go around. So traditionally for our grass events here in the stadium, we would bring in sod and put it right on top of our typical concert decking that we have and own in-house. Working closely and collaboratively with FIFA, they've requested a few different changes in the recipe that they would like for the tournament.
Several stadiums in Europe use the hybrid systems. Any issues should be solved for the 6 Club World Cup matches the city and stadium will host over the next month.
Rainy stretch. I know I am. I need a break. Ella Dorsey's here to talk more about it. Ella, are we getting a little bit of a break today?
Yes, this afternoon, this evening, and tomorrow, Gravier.
Okay.
But not a huge break. I'm sorry to say it. I know you guys are so sick of the rain. At least it's really nice outside right now. It's certainly going to be a nicer day than yesterday. Hello, everyone. How are you? We saw very stormy conditions this past weekend. Today, the difference is we're going to see an actual cold front come through. It's actually moving through right now. It's bringing some spotty showers up into Cherokee County, Pickens County. That front's going to sink south through the afternoon. So it is going to bring with it pop-up thunderstorms. But then behind it, dry air moves in. So it's certainly not going to be stormy all day. I'm seeing, again, a little bit of rain up in Chattooga, Cherokee County, the Leadville area. This is going to push south. So for Metro Atlanta, storms will be the most widespread through the early afternoon. I think between about noon and 3 p.m. You're likely to see some brief rain, lightning. That's it. No severe weather. And then by the time you get off work today, those storms will be south of the city. So if you live in central Georgia, you're likely to see the storms later this afternoon. But for most of us, it will be dry by the time you get home from work and dry through the evening. So not too bad. Let's take you hour by hour. Again, stopping the clock for you at 4 p.m. You can see those spotty storms south of the city, East Georgia. I do think Eatonton, Lake Oconee could continue to see some storms past sunset. But for most of us, will dry out this evening, okay? Tomorrow, completely dry. It will be the only dry day over the next week, so you've got to take advantage of tomorrow. By Thursday, unfortunately, guys, storms move back in, and then we just kind of stay unsettled as we head into Father's Day weekend. Okay, so today, a few isolated storms. Tomorrow will be dry. Then we see scattered storms return on Thursday, and then it does look pretty stormy Friday, Saturday. We have not issued first alert weather days, okay, because we're not seeing a high potential for severe weather. That's the good news. Last weekend, we had rounds of really strong storms. Although we're likely to see kind of pop-up thunderstorms this coming weekend, including Father's Day, I do not expect widespread severe weather. So Father's Day right now doesn't look too hot, which is great news. I don't know if you guys remember, but last year it was so hot Father's Day weekend. It was like in the mid-90s, the second half of June. We're going to stay in the mid-80s, so not too hot for the guys who want to get out, play golf, whatever you dads are planning on doing for Father's Day. But there is a 40-50% chance of storms, which will continue into next week. I will say, by the end of next week, we're going to switch into a drier pattern. So I think that the second half of June does look drier, hotter, more summer-like. But we got to make it through these storms this week first. Get outside and enjoy this afternoon, this evening, and tomorrow, because it looks like that's the only dry period over the next week, okay? All right, y'all. We'll see you back here in just a bit.